Now, live from Studio 550, this is The McGraw Show on KTRS.
You were the first one. You were the last one.
Video killed the radio star. Video killed
The very first video played on MTV, Video Killed the Radio Star, back in 1981. All these years later, they are pop icons to the highest degree. Nina Blackwood, Mark Goodman, Alan Hunter, and Martha Quinn have written a book called VJ, The Unplugged Adventures of MTV's First Wave. Alan Hunter and Martha Quinn, welcome to KTRS here in St. Louis.
Oh,
Hey,
man,
McGraw,
it's
how
great.
you doing?
It's great. And by the way, I prefer major cable icon.
Okay, I guess so. Martha Quinn, you are the Annette Funicello of your generation,
Oh, I love it.
right?
love
Never
it.
heard that.
I'm in a bikini right now.
No one has ever said that to you.
No, I have not
No, I haven't heard
that.
that
I
either.
love it.
I like it. Let's have a
love
beach
it so
blanket bingo
much.
party
Yes,
today.
I'm.
Alan Hunter, you are not
What do they
the
call
Annette,
me?
you are not the Annette Funicello of your generation.
And I'm not the Frankie Avalon either.
Let's start with Martha. Martha, how did you end up in the greatest gig in the world, being one of the 5 original VJs on MTV?
The freight train of fate was working in my favor. College intern, WNBC in New York. I also did television commercials during college. At some point, somebody said to me, Martha, you know what you should do? You should get involved with this project that Bob Pittman, who had been the youngest program director ever at WNBC, and he was off doing this weird, wacky new idea, putting videos on TV 24/7. You should do that. So I jumped down and I auditioned in my NYU outfit, not an audition outfit. I had no idea what I was auditioning for. And I'm really glad, because if I knew, I would have been so nervous, I probably wouldn't be sitting here today.
You know, Alan, we joke about a cable star, but cable in that time, it was almost like internet videos, because nobody really knew what anybody was talking about.
Exactly like
Yeah,
that.
cable was green at the time. You know, the only 24/7 cable outfits were CNN and ESPN, and so cable had kind of a funky reputation too. When any of us told our friends and parents that we were working in cable, it was like, oh, like those local cable access shows
Where you take
the
your
Crank
clothes
Call
off.
show, yeah. But so they didn't really have a concept of what it was. Neither did we. I mean, we did this show, you know, for a year in Manhattan. We'd go down to Hell's Kitchen to this crappy little studio and pump out MTV, but we had no concept of what it looked like to the public. We didn't have it. You know, we couldn't watch it at home. Meanwhile, the Heartland is going crazy for MTV. We only found out when we went to these public appearances and thousands of kids would show up for Martha Quinn's autograph. It's like, holy cow, I think this is working.
So you guys were doing the show, and nobody in New York or anyone in your sphere of influence knew what you were doing.
We had anonymity in Manhattan for a year.
People would ask me what I was doing, graduated college, run into my old college buddies, and they'd say, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, and I knew, oh my God, I'm going to miss my bus. I'm working on MTV, this thing, it's videos. I'm a VJ. It's like a DJ, but it's on TV. Yep, it's come and gone. I used to say, you know what? I teach kindergarten.
It was like we had a second job. I was still bartending for a while into the gig. But, you know, occasionally we'd buy somebody a dinner or something, and I thought, well, maybe your job is real. Actually.
It wasn't until the I want my MTV commercials came on that we could say, you know how Pete Townsend is saying that? That's where we were.
Mick Jagger's on the air, you know, doing a commercial for MTV. That's us. Certainly when it hit, they didn't give us grief anymore.
Sure. In terms of your ability to pick the videos, did you guys have any say in what videos were played and how often?
This was definitely in the era. First of all, we were busy. Second of all, I don't know if you guys are familiar with, music radio, but there's so much call out research and coordination that the days of, the free form DJ picking his own music was long gone really before MTV even came around. It was all research and whatever. Plus the fact we didn't have that many videos to air.
The library first off was 250 videos.
So we were like, oh, thank you. We'll play it.
So it's kind of like we played anything that was in the rock rock format. Then when Michael Jackson came along with Billie Jean, that widened the parameters for MTV. We were a pop music video channel at that point, and of course the videos, were starting to be voluminous. The record companies realized it was a great promo, and they started making a bunch of them. So no, we did not sit there and decide whether it was a Kajagoogoo video or Michael Jackson or a Bruce Springsteen. It just made sense.
You can never go wrong with a Kajagoogoo video.
Never. Too shy.
That's why Duran Duran got so much play, because they were the ones who had the video.
The poster boys of MTV were Duran Duran. There's no doubt they were already kind of geared for what we were putting out there. Planet Earth was the first video. Didn't do well as a single a couple of years before, but when we hit, the Buggles is a prime example of a band that never would have gotten radio airplay, and they're our hallmark video. But Duran Duran, with the fashion, with their look, with their feel, with their style of new wave music, they set the tone, man. And they made kids in Iowa go, I want to be them, and this is a rocker kid, I want to wear them fancy parachute pants.
You guys in this book, VJ, The Unplugged Adventures of MTV's First Wave, Martha Quinn and Alan Hunter here, you guys tell all, right? The drug parties, the late night plane rides, everything's in here?
It's the gestalt of the times. Each of us used the book for different reasons, maybe more cathartic for Marka and I to kind of, tell what we did late at night. But it wasn't a dark period for any of us. It was just part of what was going on. We were enmeshed in the culture. We were the epicenter of things happening, not just in the music world, but in the entertainment world. And we were having fun. We were responsible because we had a gig. It was like school. Monday through Friday, we had a gig. But we put those stories in there, not so much because they're salacious. Who knew David Lee Roth did drugs?
Wow, that's crazy.
How nutty, and I did them with him.
But what's amazing is that you guys were on a first name basis with Springsteen and all these guys. That's pretty heady stuff.
I was in a restaurant in Manhattan, and I was sitting next to my parents, and Bruce walked in, or I was sitting next to my parents. I was sitting with my parents, and I said, "Oh my God, Dad, that's Bruce Springsteen." He's like, "Who?" And I go, "Dad, he was just on the cover of Time magazine." And then Bruce looked at me. This was like the most clutch moment ever, and he goes, "Hey, I see you on MTV." And I was like, "Oh yeah, check it out, Mom and Dad."
Well, they were all watching MTV in their hotel rooms when they're on the road. Certainly when it first came on, the first couple of years, they were as fascinated by the channel as we were, because they wanted to see their video. They wanted to see it in the context, and they were fascinated. I remember but again, to movie stars, Tom Cruise and people coming on promoting their movies. I was in an Upper West Side restaurant, sitting there looking over at Emilio Estevez and Demi Moore, and we always had a little hesitation because we were humble people, us VJs.
Of course you were.
I remember looking at him and catching his eye and wondering if he'd say something. He raised his hand and said, "Hey, Alan," and I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
Martha Quinn is the Annette Funicello of her era, and Alan Hunter is the Alan Hunter of his era.
Hervé
Exactly.
Villachez.
VJ is the book, The Unplugged Adventures of MTV's First Wave. Martha and Alan, thanks for the memories and thanks for the book. Have a good day.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
McGraw.
guys.